Welcome back to Louisiana. I am Samuel, and today I am filming a little bit of a follow-up video. So a while back last year, I filmed this video about how to use a GoPro Hero 7 as a webcam. Because normally if you just plug in an HDMI cord and try to use your GoPro as a webcam, you get this weird lag where there's a lot of delay between the actual video feed and what you're actually doing. Well, today I'm filming a little follow-up video about some more cool stuff you can do with the GoPro, and we're going to be taking some star trail night lapses. These are going to look really cool. If you don't know what a star trail photo is, I'm going to pop one up right here. That's what a star trail photo is. In fact, I even took that on my GoPro, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that. If I'm correct, it works on just about any GoPro model from, I think, the Hero 6 up. But yeah, this is compatible with most GoPros, I'm going to say. And a lot of cameras also support this. And if your camera does not natively support it, there is a little device you can get to actually allow just about any camera to take these kinds of photos. And I'm going to be showing you how to do it because they look amazing to me, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's get into the video. So there's quite a lot of stuff that goes into taking one of these photos, and there is one aspect you have to remember. This camera is going to be outside for multiple hours at night, and you cannot be there manually changing your settings and dialing it in. You have one shot to get this photo right, and then it's going to be taken, and you cannot mess with that camera while it's sitting there doing it. So you have to have everything set up and everything ready, and you don't want stuff to go wrong while you're taking that photo, because you can't just go in and change your settings and redo it. So one of the biggest things you need to make sure that you have is a large capacity on your SD card, because if you run out of space while you're taking these photos, you're not going to get a very good swirl effect with your stars, because you need to have a lot of image data to make those stars actually visible, their paths visible. So the way you take these photos is you take a bunch of just regular star photos. You're just taking long exposure photos of the night sky. You can see the stars, and you take a lot of those. And I normally take about 300 or so, and then you stitch them all together in a software on your computer, and then you have output image that has the star trails visible. The way you have to do this is you have to let your camera run and just take all these individual photos by itself at night. So if you run out of space taking those photos, you're going to be in big trouble. So make sure that you have a lot of space on your SD card. And then once that is ready, you have to make sure your camera does not move. You need your camera to be rock solid for this entire period they're taking photos. So a solid tripod with the camera bolted onto it really well is imperative to getting a nice smooth star trail photo. And the last thing that we need to do is check all the settings on our GoPro and set it up to do exactly what we want in the way we want it to do it. So let's run through the settings real quick and see how we make our GoPro take these awesome photos. So here's the GoPro we're going to be taking our photos with, and we need to make sure all of our settings are correct. So we're going to jump over into time-lapse mode, and then we're going to go through some of these settings here. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our shutter to 30 seconds so we get a nice long shutter. We're going to set our FOV to either wide or linear, depending on the photo you want. I usually kind of like the wide look, so we're going to go with that. And then our interval is where this is going to come in important. We're going to set our interval to auto. And this is going to take a photo, and you can see all your numbers here. You have different minute settings. We're going to set this to auto. And what this does is it sets the interval to be the same as the exposure. So there's going to be a 30-second photo taken, a 30-second interval, and then another 30-second photo. And that's what we need right there. And all these settings are actually under night lapse photos. So that's the kind of photo we're taking, a night lapse photo, and that's where we get all these settings that we need for our GoPro night lapse photo. So one of the big things in astro photography is you have to shoot to your conditions. And what this means is you can't just go out any single night of the year and just instantly take a star photo, whether you're just taking a regular photo of the stars or if you want star trails. What you have to do is you have to make sure your conditions are going to be right. And tonight is actually going to be good. We're not going to have any clouds, we're not going to have any rain, we're not going to have any fog or anything that's going to get in between my camera and the stars. You have a clear sight of the stars, a really clear night. And now you also need to have a little basic understanding of what the stars are doing. So the North Star is the central point star that from Earth moves the least in the Earth's rotation. So the Earth is essentially rotating in line with where the North Star is. So that star will look like a single point in your photo if you point your camera at it. And then all the other stars, as they get farther and farther away from that point, they're going to swirl out more. So if you want a cool looking spiral with that one point in the middle, you need to have your camera pointing somewhat north, where that North Star will be in the frame. And if you point it off to the east or the west, you're going to have more straight lines because the Earth is rotating directly towards those stars. And then if you point your camera south, you're gonna have more like anti-curves on both sides, kind of like a parabola. And I'll show you what that photo looks like on the side over here. So that's kind of the basic geometry of what your photos are gonna come out depending on which direction you're facing. So I really like the single point in the middle. That just looks awesome to me. And right now, this is facing north, and as you can see, there's a house in the way. So what happens when you shoot houses? Well, houses produce light. There are lights inside the houses and stuff that can wash out your photo. Because when you're taking a long exposure, you have that shutter open for a really long period of time, like 30 seconds or so is what we're gonna be doing. And that's a whole lot longer than just a standard photo. That might just be like 1/100th of a second. So what you need to make sure is you need to make sure that you're gonna be blocking any light that can wash out your photo. So a little light is good. You can add some foreground, like I want my house illuminated just a little bit, so it kind of shows up in my photo and makes it not like super bland and boring. But I need to make sure that my lights aren't on full power and where it's washing out my parts of my photo and stuff. So make sure you're shooting to your conditions, that your camera is going to be pointed in a direction that you're going to get a photo you want, and there's nothing going to be obstructing anything in your photo, like a washed out light or something blocking something or just something you don't want in your photo. And that's going to make it a whole lot easier to get a good photo in a few attempts. So we're going to come back tonight, and I'm going to set up my GoPro, and I'm going to show you a few tips to make sure everything goes smoothly. So we'll be back when the sun goes down. So one thing I forgot to mention is that before we go set this camera up, I need to make sure that I have a spare battery, because just using one single battery that comes in the GoPro, nothing's gonna die in about an hour for me. That might be a little bit longer if you have new batteries. Mine are a little old and a little depleted, but I always make sure I use a spare external battery to also be powering that GoPro, so we have as much recording time as we can, because the more photos we have, the better of an output photo we can get. So I always either use external battery, or if I'm close to a house or a power source, I can just run an extension cord straight into the camera and just power it from the wall, and it can run essentially all night and never die, as long as the camera supports that. So just make sure you have a way to keep some power going to your camera overnight and that it does not die super quickly. So here's our little camera setup. I have my GoPro on top of my tripod. We have the external battery right here with the cord running to the GoPro. Now when you run an external battery to a GoPro, you have to remove the little charging port over the cover there, but that's really easy to do. So like I said, we're pointing straight at the North Star, so we're gonna get that nice little circle effect. I'm just gonna turn my GoPro on, and I'm gonna take a couple test photos before I actually set it to take this entire night lapse, because I don't want anything going wrong. So I'm just gonna double check and make sure that I have my exposure dialed in, and that my angle's correct, and that this photo is gonna look how I want, so I don't have to come out here another night and retake this photo. Alright, so here I've taken my first test shot, and as you can see, I have these lens flares off to the left side of my frame, and there's my house that I'm filming directly towards, and then off to the left, we have some porch lights from this shed over here. So what that's doing is, when you're filming straight towards your light source, you don't really have much to worry about with lens flares. When you have some light raking across the side of your lens, that's where you start getting lens flares from. So I'm gonna actually have to turn these lights out and then film only straight at the house, and that will eliminate my lens flares. But just be conscious of that. If you're pointing straight out of the light source, you don't really have much of an issue. If you have one coming across the side, raking across your lens, that's when you start getting issues in your photo. Good morning, guys. This is now day 2, and we have come back out here to check the GoPro. I just let it run every night and let the batteries die in it. So we're just gonna take the camera, head straight inside, stick the SD card into the computer, and I'll show you the last step to getting your nice, ultra awesome Star Trail photos. So this is gonna be pretty simple. We just gotta run all the photos through the software. It'll line them all up, and it will be done. So let's go get this done. Once we have our folder of photos ready, we just need to get Starstax. So this is the Starstax website. I'll have it linked down below. You just need to download it. It is available on Mac OS and Windows. So you just have to download this and install it like you do any other software. And then the last step is just to run all our photos through Starstax and to process them into that beautiful looking Star Trail photo. We have Starstax open up top, and I'm just gonna select all my files here. So I'm just gonna use Command A. Select them all, and then we just drag and drop them straight to this, and now they are all lined up. So we just have to go up to the top and hit this little button right here, which starts the processing. And I did not have my orientation correct on my GoPro, so my images are a little bit sideways. But if you look, you can actually see these photos being merged together, and you can see the Star Trails expanding just as the time goes on. And it's super awesome. It does it pretty quickly in just a couple minutes, and this photo will be done with some beautiful looking Star Trails, so I'm really excited for that. One of the awesome things about Starstax on this left side here, you have little check boxes by each image, and you can preview all your images. You can deselect ones you don't want. So for me, I had about 3 in the first beginning that had lights on. and I just had to deselect those right there, and that got my house looking right. You can see these star trails just forming, and it's looking really, really awesome. I have my North Star right there, so this is going to be a pretty cool looking photo when we're done. Alright, and as you can see here, we have the little message blending done, and this is our final photo. So we're just going to export this. So once you're ready to save your image, you're just going to go up here and you're going to click this little second box right here, and there you get to title your image and save it as whatever you want. Alrighty, and this is our final photo that's been taken and rotated, and normally I don't edit JPEGs, and this software only outputs a JPEG, but because it's such a large composite, I feel confident doing a little bit of color touching up, so I'll edit this just a little bit, just touch some colors and maybe some highlights and shadows, but nothing much at all, because I just don't like editing JPEGs. What you can do is you can take your photos in RAW and batch edit them before you run them through the software, but this is how you take an awesome star trail photo with a GoPro. It's super easy. And just with that camera, we got this awesome looking photo. So the thing that's really awesome here is we just took some standard photos and ran them through the software, and we instantly got this beautiful star trail photo. So what you can do is you do not need a GoPro to do this, because there are a lot of cameras that have intervalometers built into them, where it's taking a set photo with predefined settings every interval of time. And there are a lot of cameras like that. For example, my Lumix G95 that I'm filming on right now supports intervalometer photos. And even if your camera does not natively support that, you can actually get a device that plugs into the camera and tells it to take a photo with these settings every certain amount of time. So it's super easy to get these photos like this, whether your camera natively supports it, whether you get an external intervalometer. It's really easy to get these photos, and you just have to take them, run them through your software, and you instantly get this really, really cool looking photo that a lot of people don't even know how they're taken. They think you just have to let the camera sit there with its own exposure, just taking a single photo. And while that is possible to do, it's not near as easy as just running individual photos through your software and then culling out the ones you don't want, and you can process each photo individually, and it's so easy to do, it's really accessible, so that's how awesome this is. And there you have it. I really hope you guys learned something from this video, and if you do try taking a star trail photo with a GoPro, please let me know down below, because I think it's really such a cool photo, and I think they just look amazing. They really help make the sky look really, really cool, and it's even more exciting than the regular star photo. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, share this video with your grandmother, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.